etc. So that's the reason, and it's so incredibly abundant. Everyone uses it. That's the reason our society has accepted it. But crack cocaine, I mean, there's no way. In 50, 100 years, it doesn't matter how long you stretch the timeline out, crack cocaine is never going to be accepted by the general populace. Tim's the only one I'm aware of trying to make an argument for crack cocaine being legalized. When people talk about the war on drugs and how stupid it is, I mean, I agree with that 110%. Categorically, the war on drugs is a miserable failure. It has not reduced drug use in the slightest. It's cost trillions of dollars, or billions of dollars anyways, and, lots of lives and increased crime, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, that's all true. But then Tim's solution to that is just to throw the baby out with the bathwater and then just to take the, total opposite approach and say, okay, well, let's stop the war on drugs and then let's just make it all legal. And it's like, no, that doesn't work either. You can't simply go from one extreme to the other. There needs to be a time for calm, rational people to sit down, look at the drugs individually, and figure out what we as a society are willing to accept in terms of, a pleasurable narcotic or drug or anything like that to be used by the populace. And I mean, at that point, you could bring in the standards set by alcohol and nicotine, but unfortunately, by those standards, crack cocaine would probably be allowable. So it would be an interesting discussion, but it's a discussion that Tim's not interested in having. He's just got these crazy pie-in-the-sky ideas where it's like, he's the dictator of Canada all of a sudden, and he can just, declare by fiat that all drugs are legal, and that's the way it's going to be.
Well, there's the other half of that debate too, Chris, of course, and that half of the debate is, simply put, where do you draw the line? If we give away free crack pipes to everybody, where do we stop? Do we then give away free alcohol to drug drivers? Do we give away free chainsaws to serial killers?
Yeah, I was about to say, it's like saying, well, doing crack cocaine is still a crime, and we're making it easier for someone to commit a crime. So it's exactly the same as giving a chainsaw to a serial killer, giving, thieves' tools to a kleptomaniac. I mean, it's just, it makes absolutely no sense. And I think Tim is trying to ride this kind of bandwagon of support that there is for legalizing marijuana. And then to equate that, he's like, well, if you're okay with legalizing marijuana, you're okay with legalizing all drugs, or you're at least okay with helping the crack addicts a little bit because they're drug abusers too. And it's apples and oranges. It's not the same thing. This is the thing I've tried to beat through Tim's head so many times: is you cannot make one argument that works for marijuana and then simply by equivocation say, therefore, this argument works exactly the same way for crack cocaine. It's not a fair analogy. Crack cocaine is different in so many ways.
What do you think would happen if we gave free chainsaws to serial killers?
Free chainsaws to serial killers?
Yeah. What would the end result of that be, do you think?
I don't know. I mean, I would imagine it would be a lot of locked up serial killers because,
well, and a lot of dead people
identify themselves in some way and probably fill out, a bunch of paperwork in triplicate in order to receive their chainsaw, and then their, tax rebate, coupon, whatever for it, and then, the police would, actually, no, they wouldn't, because the little government institutions don't talk to each other. But, I'm sure it would work itself out.
Well, we would certainly see a lot of dead people.
Well, at least it would stop those serial killers from breaking into my car in order to get money by a chainsaw.
And then we wouldn't have to waste paper on note paper, right? We wouldn't have to leave them any notes.
Yeah,
but, I mean, if we gave chainsaws to free chainsaws to serial killers, there'd be a lot of hacked up limbs around, a lot of dead people.
Now, you see, I'm a bigger fan of the idea of giving free chainsaws to crack addicts. I think that is a potential gold mine of comedy. We need to be like London and have video cameras on every corner so that we have no rights to privacy anymore, and then just record crazed serial killers, or not serial killers, well, soon to be serial killers, crazed crack addicts chainsawing open car doors in order to get the crack pipes that are inside with the little notes attached. It would be a thing. You know what? I mean, that is Tim's utopia. He is absolutely unable to think even one step beyond what he's actually proposing. It's like, so you legalize all drugs. Okay, then what would happen, Tim? Oh, a magical fairyland where no one would actually do crack cocaine because there would be other alternatives. Like, newsflash, those alternatives are around now. Crack cocaine users are not doing ecstasy. They're doing crack cocaine because they like crack cocaine. They can both be legal. It doesn't matter. They're going to do crack cocaine. I'm sorry, that was a segue. It was one of our earlier arguments where I actually pursued him and he was actually humoring me and engaging in some kind of intelligent dialogue for about 0.35 seconds. And and he was talking about how if everything was legalized, because I was saying, well, then you're going to see a rise in the use of crack cocaine and heroin, and subsequent deaths are going to be on our hands. And he said, oh no, that wouldn't happen because all these other things would be available, like ecstasy and mescaline, blah blah blah, and they'd use those instead. It's like, oh, okay, well, that doesn't work, Tim, because those things are available now, and they're just as cheap as crack cocaine, and easier to use, and less harmful. And I mean, there's a reason they're not doing them, because it's not crack cocaine. They want their crack.
That's a good point. And again, I really like your idea about the crackheads with the chainsaw.
You know what? There's just something. I mean, I'm a horrible, sadistic, vicious person, but there is something wonderful about the idea of someone in a crack cocaine psychosis with a chainsaw full of gas. I mean, we might as well at that point sever a hand and just strap it to the stump, Evil Dead style, and just set them loose in the downtown core, and that'll.
I suppose we could solve a lot of problems all at once there, couldn't we?
Well, you're worried about. I figured there'd be like about a 30-day. It would be kind of like that movie 28 Days Later, where there'd just be a frenzy of activity. Then it would all kind of work itself out, and the populace could move back in. So you just put it into that downtown core that everyone's worried about because the Olympics are coming. So just kind of strategically drop them off with their chainsaws primed in front of places where there are lots of squatters, and tell them there's crack in the top floor of the building. And
well,
this
Chris,
evolved quickly.
Chris, I'll give you 30 seconds for your final debate summary here on your view on free crack pipes.
Free crack pipes. All right. Well, crack cocaine is incredibly harmful, lethal, addictive. Our society does not condone its use. To equate it to marijuana or any other kind of softer drug, even like ecstasy or mushrooms, is stupid because the difference between them is huge and obvious to anyone with half a brain. And therefore, our society cannot in any way condone or make easier its use. It makes no logical sense. It doesn't make any moral sense either to help people kill themselves and others by providing them with the tools by which to commit a felony or whatever technicality using crack cocaine is. So that's my opinion. I have sympathy for crack cocaine users, and I think they should be in treatment programs. We're going to spend money on crack cocaine users. So let's get them in treatment programs. Let's get them addicted to methadone and not crack cocaine, and then they don't need the crack pipes, and our cars will be safe.
Well, that's well said. That's well said. I'm going to be hard pressed to follow up, but I'm going to try here with my 30-second response to my closing statement here on this debate. Of course, I am taking Tim Felger's view here that giving free crack pipes is good. So I will say, Chris, I've heard you make a lot of these comments and read from The Economist and talk about how great you are. And however, I've also heard you say things like you're ignorant on the subject and you don't know exactly what it is you're talking about. And that's what I think the majority of people in this debate don't understand. They don't know what they're talking about. They think they know what they're talking about. They don't know what they're talking about. That's simply because their ability to talk supersedes their ability to think. And that is the debate we have right now. Our society is at a crossroads. We are at a mission critical point here where the whole foundation of Canadian society can completely unravel if we do not start thinking instead of talking. And one of the first things we have to do, one of the first bits of action we have to take is to give people free crack pipes. The end.
That was, I have to say, I'm having flashbacks. That felt like Tim Felger. I was waiting for someone to say, and the kill shot is coming. That was spot on, man. I cannot, I'm too empirical, I'm too rational. I can't twist my brain.
So we agree that I win this debate.
You know what? On every single category except for actual rational sense, you win, hands down.
Thank you very much. I'll take that victory, Chris, and hold it against you forever.
Wow, you have to make sure that Tim Felger hears your rant, because that is essentially the perfect parody of what he sounds like every time he opens his mouth. It's like, nowhere in here are you going to find facts. You're only going to find my assertions that you are wrong and I am right, and I'm going to keep repeating it louder and louder and more hysterically until you just throw your hands up in the air, throw up in your mouth a little, and hang up the phone.